Can't get enough sports shorts? Tune into Sports Shorts TV on Cox HD Channel 1013 Mondays at 8, Tuesdays at 9, and ETEL Channel 4. That's 52 weeks a year to get educated on sports by the best. Joel Davis and Ronnie Rance.
And welcome to this week's edition of Sports Shorts. Ronnie Rance here alongside Jacques Doucet visiting with us. Sports Shorts, of course, each and every week, presented by L'Auberge Casino in Baton Rouge. If you've got one of these smartphones, download the L'Auberge Baton Rouge app on your phone. You can see all the great concerts that are coming up. You can even go ahead and book hotel rooms, you name it, through there. And how about this? They've got some great shows. And, of course, at the Edge Lounge, they have free shows throughout the week. But the paid shows coming up, one of my favorites, Jacques. And Jacques' a rock and roll guy, and I can appreciate it to a certain extent. But I'm more an R&B guy. And how about this show? They've got Tone Loc with Color Me Bad opening up for him. I mean, that takes me back to 1991 or 1990 with a bullet.
Get your hypercolor baggy pants and Tone Loc.
A little wild thing.
I think Van Halen sued Tone Loc because of the drum beat and rum-bum-bum-bum. It was from Jamie's Crying. Yeah, Wild Thing.
Really? They sued him on that
I think
deal?
so. It's pretty petty.
That's why he's still touring to pay for that lawsuit that Van Halen.
It's pretty petty on Van Halen's part, but no, that's a pretty good one. Is Dennis DeYoung? Is that?
Yeah, Dennis DeYoung of Styx, the lead. That one's more. That's coming up in a few weeks.
He was the crooner in Styx. Lady, They said you sing about love too much. You're out.
Yeah.
So,
but he also, I want to say, he wrote a lot of the songs, so he gets to sing those songs.
Yeah,
it's a Dennis DeYoung show, but it's a Styx show. He's going to sing every song you've ever heard.
Come on, Roboto.
But I mean, I love. I've seen Styx or Dennis DeYoung in Styx and Dennis DeYoung separately many times over the last probably 10 years, and they're outstanding. And he still can sing it at 70 years old or whatever he is.
Sweet perm still got nice.
Right. I don't know that it's real, but he definitely has the sweet perm. Jacques Doucet of WAFB, sports reporter, been there for many years. He'll be joining us today. And, of course, a little bit later on, we'll talk to Jacob Hester. We'll kind of delve into a lot of the NFL draft with Jacob. That'll be coming up in about 30, 40 minutes. But Jacques got his Masters green on, and I was at the Zurich this past weekend down in New Orleans.
Oh, nice.
And the weather was great other than just the beginning of Thursday. About half of Thursday got rained out, but they were able to catch up. Big crowds on hand. John Rahm's team, a known entity, a top 20 golfer in the world, wins the tournament, which is always good. Sergio Garcia and Fleetwood, they were second. So you had some big names up at the top of that leaderboard. How do you like that new format with the two-man?
I think the players really enjoy it because I think the pressure's off for the players. They can pair up with somebody, come down to New Orleans, have a good time, hit the city. I think that the event does a pretty good job with the guys who have families and kids and stuff, giving them things to do. And really for the fans, I think they really enjoy the event. I don't think anyone is saying, hey, who won the Zurich?
Right.
But so many people go down. This is the best time of year for weather, for the food. Jazz Fest is going on. People can bounce around from both. If we had the Pelicans in the playoffs, there's sometimes a playoff series at the same, and the NFL draft. It really is almost too much at one time, but it really is an exciting time of year.
They had a great field. Tony Finau was in it, Brooks Koepka. We mentioned Sergio and Fleetwood and Rahm and Sam Burns, the LSU golfer. Was that just and since they've gone to the two-man, this was year 3 of the two-man format. It's gotten the field's improved. I mean, first off, you have 80-something teams that had 160-plus golfers out on Thursday and Friday. That got cut down to, I think, 36 teams on the weekend. But, I mean, you had some big names that they haven't really had over the years. Oftentimes they'd have a few, but they have more top 50 players now because of this format.
I've been there in the past and seen Vijay Singh.
Yeah. Ernie Els used to play
Phil
a lot.
Mickelson has played it. David Toms was always a huge draw for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And then it was a chance to see some of the younger LSU golfers coming out, like John Peterson and Patrick Reed. I remember one press conference. who's the guy that won the Masters. He's got kind of the quirky personality. He kind of the Georgia guy.
Bubba Watson.
Bubba Watson, yes, thank you.
He played in it this weekend.
I watched the press conference with him get kind of animated with the reporters at the Zurich one time. They were saying, you did this in the year. And he's like, no, I didn't. And Bubba was like, I should know, I was there, but he was wrong. But anyway, yeah, it's a great event, and to see these guys up close when guys like you and I go out and hack the ball and have terrible swings and whatnot, to see just the effortless and the smoothness of the swings, and just see these guys bomb it, without really trying almost.
It's incredible. Yeah, we're over there grunting, ripping, and snorting to try to hit it 250 yards, and they're out there just nice and easy, 350. Bubba Watson on 18 on Saturday. I happened to be at the Louisiana Propane dealer's tent right on 18 Fairway. They're a big supporter of Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. So myself, Matt Flynn, Jacob Hester, we were all there for a few hours, interacting with folks on their little putting contest. And so Bubba hit a ball kind of in the trees right by where we were, and it's a par 5, so you're not supposed to be able to drive the green with the second shot. And he had probably a 2-iron and a little butter knife, and I mean, he had in a yellow ball, and he smoked it, to 30 yards from the flag, a little short chip. I mean, pretty incredible shot. We would all dream to hit a ball like that, but it was so effortless.
You watch the Masters and you see Tiger Woods teeing off, and all those people are crammed into that narrow bottleneck right in front of him. They all know he's so good, there's no chance in the world any of them's going to get hit in the head. But I can't imagine the pressure of standing over a little white ball with so many people watching. And
there was a few takeaways from the tournament. I always get asked, and I'm sure you do too, is Tiger Woods ever going to play in the Zurich? And I did speak to some officials with the Zurich that are very involved in putting the field together, and they said Davis Love III is lobbying Tiger Woods to be his partner to play in the tournament. And they're hoping that one day, next year, year after, that Davis Love will be able to make that happen. But they said if it's going to get done, that's probably the way it'll get done. As Davis, they have a good relationship. They're friends. And Davis Love's trying to get him to come. So fingers crossed that happens.
Well, the people that put on this tournament do such a great job, but I would imagine they have to get annoyed at some point. The first question every year is Tiger coming,
Right.
And I don't know if something happened with him in the past there.
There was rumors. They really,
but
it's not really true. I did ask that. There was a story that got around that, Tiger Woods was upset about something, and that's not true at all.
Not true, okay.
But hopefully, fingers crossed that'll happen one day, because if it does, you'll notice the attendance will go through the roof. The other thing was I ran into former LSU Tiger Mike Hollander, who played shortstop for LSU, was on the 08 team, captain of that was the senior year, was captain
2008
when they won 23 in a row and went to the College World Series. And Mike has been a marshal at Augusta for the Masters, I think, for 4 years in a row. His dad was a marshal, a volunteer marshal there, and his uncle for years and years and years. And when his dad stepped down about 4 years or so ago, he was able to pass the baton on to his son and let him take his spot. And that normally isn't the case, but he had such a good relationship with the guy who's the head of the marshals that they allowed that to happen. So every year, Mike Hollander goes to Augusta and rooms with a bunch of guys in a house and pays his own freight. It's completely free. You don't get paid anything. You volunteer for 7 days to work the event. They'll give you some swag, a couple shirts and hats and things.
Yeah.
But the caveat is you get to come back in May and play one round of golf at Augusta National. They have they have 3 days where they bring back all the marshals, and they have time slots, and you drive a golf cart. You don't walk, but they have foursomes. And they tell you your day. This is your day. This is your time. And so on May 21st, Mike will be going back to Augusta to play Augusta National. So now, needless to say, there's a long waiting list of folks that want to volunteer to be a marshal, because that's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
When I covered Mike on that 2018, which was one of my funner memories of covering LSU sports, that team, I got some great video one day of Buzzy and Nick Pontiff and Chris McGee singing the Kenny Rogers song, "When You Put Your Heart Into It." That was on the motivational video.
Right.
But I struck up a good rapport with Mike and a good relationship with his family, and did some features and whatnot. And he gave me a Master shirt one day.
Nice
Nice collared green with the the logo on it.
You
and
can only
everything.
get it there in Augusta.
Yeah, so I can imagine that's the stance they take. Hey, you get to come work over here. We're not going to pay you a dime. You should be thankful. I know how hard it is. I know Scott Rabelais goes every year with the Advocate, but I know they don't just let anybody come to cover it. So,
and Mike was actually violent. It was his first year with the 4Kids Foundation, which is the charity arm that puts on the Zurich Classic, and he was out there actually volunteering a couple days and working his station wherever. And he said it's a little different. It's a little different going from working the Masters at Augusta National for a week to going out to the TPC in Avondale and working that event. No disrespect at all intended to the event. I mean, everything pales in comparison to the Masters. But he's like, it's a little bit of a letdown.
Those people at the Augusta, they are dissecting Jim Nance's every word. What was it one time an announcer called it a crowd instead of the gallery or something like that. They were like, that kind of thing. They jumped somebody's butt for using the wrong terminology. It wasn't formal enough or whatever.
Right. Well, they control the broadcast. I mean, it's owned by the Masters. It is on CBS, but the Masters, governing body, they are the ones that pay the freight and control. Maybe they don't pay the freight, but they control. Remember, it used to not have commercials. Now it does have commercials. The Masters coverage didn't have commercials for a long time. But a few years ago, they changed that, and then they started doing commercials. But they control who the sponsors are, who advertises, and they do have a say who the broadcasters are, what they say, what they cover. It's pretty intense.
CBS had to be doing backflips, going into the weekend. Where's Tiger? Where is he? Oh, he's got a chance to win. I mean.
And by the way, one last thing about the Zurich this past weekend, after being out there for a little bit, I ran into Eric Hill, former LSU Tiger, who will be joining us next Monday at our annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame golf tournament. He'll be one of the celebrity golfers. He looks like he could still play, by the way.
Bad man.
I mean, whoo, boy. But anyway, the thing that I realized, if I don't believe in reincarnation, but if I did, I'd either want to come back as Justin Timberlake because he can play golf. He's a pretty good little golfer. But he's also a singer, an actor, a dancer. He's well liked by everybody, well liked by the guys, the girls. I'd like to be Justin Timberlake or Brooks Koepka. Brooks Koepka, let me tell you something. Every female that was there at the tournament over the weekend knew what hole he was on, or where he was playing, or when's Brooks Koepka coming down 18. I mean, it was unbelievable. If you were to see the social media posts, any woman who went made sure to post video, pictures, whatever, Brooks Koepka.
This is the guy that looks like the linebacker.
Yeah, this is a guy that's yoked. He's one of the top 3 golfers in the world, and looks like he works out, chiseled out of granite on a golf course.
I played yesterday, and it's funny, when Tiger was big, everyone started showing up with red shirts and black pants and everything. And I saw a couple guys at the LSU golf course that were wearing shirts a little too small yesterday. And a couple people said, "Oh, there's Brooks Koepka over there," So.
Brooks Koepka's making in vogue the schmedium. All right, we'll take a time out. We're visiting with Jacques Doucet. He's a WFB sports reporter. How many years, Jacques?
I just made 18 years in March.
So 2 more before the gold watch, or what do you get for 20?
I might be able to get a parking spot,
That's right.
But I have to round the block and go park by the dumpster because
that's asking way too much. Street Beat's got that one.
Right.
It's not you. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to Jacques about the Scott Woodward hire, a little LSU discussion. He was all over that the last couple of weeks. It may be changing the landscape of LSU athletics. We'll be back with Sports Shorts presented by LeBears.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
When you come to Relief Windows, your experience starts here.
Or here.
Then we come to your home.
We measure twice.
And then we bring custom windows to your home.
We remove your old windows. Install your new windows.
Clean our mess. And we make sure you're completely satisfied.
And all of this before you pay a dime. And at Relief Windows, our #1 product is customer satisfaction.
Relief Windows.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call AccuTemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
Can't get enough sports shorts? Tune into Sports Shorts TV on Cox HD Channel 1013 Mondays at 8, Tuesdays at 9, and ETEL Channel 4. That's 52 weeks a year to get educated on sports by the best. Joel Davis and Ronnie Rance.
David LaFleur.
Charles Smith going in.
Welcome back, everybody. Ronnie Rance, Jacques Doucet, Sports Shorts, presented by LeBaerge Casino. Ticketmaster.com to get great tickets over there for all the concerts coming up. But also, Jacques puts on an event every year, works his butt off, probably, 20 years? Over 20 years about on this event?
We did our first softball tournament back then. It wasn't even for charity. It was for friends and to have a good time when I was a senior in high school in 1994. So 25 years.
25 years you've been doing it.
First
But
tournament.
how many years has it been really a charity event?
About 2007 was when we really got heavy into it.
So 12, 13 years. This is coming up, Red Rock and Blue. What's the website?
RedRockandBlue.com. Spell it all out, and you can enter a slow pitch softball team. That's the bread and butter of what we do. That's where we raise most of our money. USSSA teams, co-ed, competitive. Anybody can put a team in at our website. If you want to get in and sponsor, we got a lot of great sponsors and great tax write-off.
Yeah, redrockandblue.com. That's the website. And, of course, they'll have the celebrity softball event. And you'll hear plenty about that, on the radio stations and right here on Sports Shorts in the coming weeks. It'll be July what
July
this year?
12th is the celebrity softball game. It'll be at LSU Tiger Park.
I like that venue.
Where LSU plays softball.
Yeah.
And
there's a home run cap, by the way. You won't be there all night. You can only hit 5 homers.
We're buying
in
a different
half
ball
inning.
this year that won't,
Oh,
fly.
really? Oh, you really? You got a
I think
heavier
we're gonna
ball?
incorporate a different ball, so we'll still have plenty of home runs, but it won't be so ridiculous as it has.
Yeah, well, you had it there once a few years ago.
A couple times,
I remember I might have been doing the Pelican broadcast of the game or something, and I remember it got a little. It was crazy. It was like 38 or maybe 58, 48 or something.
It was 40-16. I think
that
was
what
the
it was?
final. That was one of the 2 times Matt Moscona beat me. His team beat my team. It obviously got 10 times more press than the other 7 victories that I scored.
Right.
But and it really sucked because the next year the game got rained out. Only time that stayed in the news cycle. Moscona's victory for 2 years.
For 2
basically.
years, right.
Last year we won. We got him back. But
all right, well that'll be coming up in July, and of course check it all out at redrockandblue.com.
And if you're wanting the charity we give to Louisiana military charity organizations, Blue Star Moms, Wounded War Heroes, support our war heroes.
You guys have raised between the softball tournament and your concerts you've put on roughly how many dollars over the years that you've given to charity?
Between what you raise and what you donate, I would think that we've had to have raised $500,000 or something. I mean, I think we've donated, I don't know, 300, 350, something like that.
Yeah.
I have to do all the math. But typically every year it's 50, 60,000.
So no concert this year?
We're going to have one. My dad always jokes, you throw that softball tournament so you can lose money on a concert. So we'll do something. We got Werewolf and Blue Verse, and we're gonna do something at the varsity.
Mm-hmm.
But the honest thing is, these big concerts, you start thousands of dollars in the hole. You got to fight just to break even. I mean, we'll do something in the future. But even a band that had 5 or 6 top 40 hits 20 years ago,
they want a lot of money.
They're going to cost you a lot because no one's buying albums anymore or records.
They only get paid for touring.
For live shows is where they're making their money. So, and those casinos ruin it.
Casino,
they overpay.
But the casino business around the world. I mean, there's a casino now in every street corner, good and bad for that. But because of that, all these acts have had a second life. You know, I mean, if any band that's still alive and can play at all and sound anything like they used to, and they played in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, they're now back touring, at least playing a few gigs a year at these casinos all around the country.
Good for them. I mean, and the casinos overpay because the
it's
gamblers,
not about the making money at the gate. Yeah, it's about bringing in the gamblers. Yeah,
I almost feel sorry for today's musical artists because they're not going to make any money. I mean, on selling albums. The Guns N' Roses, the Def Leppards, the Journeys, they can tour forever and people will go see those songs. But now it's just a lot harder, I think.
Yeah, it's a different model nonetheless. All right, so Jacques, the last few weeks have been kind of crazy for LSU. I mean, everything was going great. Tigers were preseason number 1, number 2 in the country in baseball. Basketball's having a dream season on their way to an SEC championship. We knew they would be good. We didn't quite know they'd be that good. Will Wade's going to run for governor. Everything's going wonderful. And then 2 things happen. LSU baseball, everybody gets hurt, and then they lose midweek games, and people start to question what's going on. They fall all the way. I mean, some of the polls had them outside the top 20 at one point. All of a sudden, Will Wade's suspended, and then the Tigers, they go to the tournament. They win a couple games. They lose in the Sweet 16 pretty handily. Michigan State, it wasn't even close. That was about where we thought they would be anyway, was they were a good enough team talent-wise to get to the Sweet 16. We thought maybe with Will Wade and a healthy squad, maybe they could get to the Final Four and have one of those dream seasons like 06. Didn't happen. Everybody starts questioning what's going on with the baseball, what's going on with Will Wade, what's going on with the future of LSU basketball. Why is Joe Oliva still here? I mean, it was and all of a sudden, here we are at the end of April, and all's well. LSU baseball is going to be fine. They're going to probably host a regional. LSU's got a great athletic director who 99.9, unless you're related to Verge Osbury or Herb Vincent, you're excited that you got Scott Woodward. And Will Wade's back, and so will his players in a matter of a few weeks.
Yeah, it was been quite a whirlwind, without a doubt. Certainly the fact, I covered the Wally Pontiff Classic. I got home like at 1 in the morning. Woke up. We had heard about the rumblings. Started getting the calls. This is a day. Oliva's out. They're pushing him out today. And so that alone would have dominated the headlines the entire day. You mean to tell me we already know who's replacing him? And it's Scott Woodward? Really? In the same day? I mean, it's really unprecedented. Some people joked it took place because Oliva had nothing to do with it. He wasn't involved, I think there's a joke called Tiger Time, too, where coaches have said, are we going to get this done quickly, or are we working on Tiger Time?
Right.
And the fact that LSU, it's the most professional thing I think LSU's done in years. The fact that they moved on their AD, they pushed him out, and they got their new guy in place. And it kind of reminded me of the end of 2015 when Georgia never said a word about Mark Richt. They fired him. He was out. A couple of days later, Kirby Smart was the head coach. Meanwhile, LSU at that time, drug Les Miles through the mud for 3 weeks and then kept him as the coach when the Jimbo Fisher thing fell through or whatever. Around here, we seem to, when somebody's fired, pushed out, say that they did nothing right and everything wrong. I won't do that. I'll say that Joe Oliva improved the facilities around LSU. I know coaches like Dee Dee Bro and Beth Torino are very thankful for what they built, the salaries they're making, how they can help their families. Ed Ogeron, we're all rooting for Ed Ogeron. I think we all like Ed Ogeron. He just finished number 6 in the country. He should be a top 10. But hiring Ed Ogeron, Joe Oliva didn't pull anything off there.
Right.
It was you or I could have made
Could
that
have hired
hire.
him at any point in time.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So when he was in that spot, that big spot to come through,
2 months to ponder who the next guy was going to be.
right, he didn't really. Now, if he works out, great, But at the same time, it was easy, So we can root for Ed Ogeron. Hope he does a great job. I think he's doing a good job. And then Joe Oliva hired 3 basketball coaches: Trent Johnson, Johnny Jones, Will Wade. I think LSU's been to the NCAA tournament, counting this year, 3 times out of the last 11 years. It's not good. And then Nikki Fargas has been a lightning rod for a lot of fans for a long time because of her salary. They haven't won an NCAA tournament game in 5 years.
And the over-under's 500 people at a game now. It's back to what it was in the mid-'90s when people didn't care about women's basketball. Sue Gunner had it going on, handed it over to Pokey Chapman. Obviously, Simone Augustus signing is what changed the landscape of LSU basketball from people caring from an attendance standpoint and obviously going to 5 Final Fours in a row. And they may not ever be able to get it back to where it was with Augustus and Fowles at the heyday when they literally had thousands of people in the games. But where it's at now is nobody even cares. Like, nobody talks about it. The only thing they care about is they're frustrated that they're not very good, and that no one cares. LSU women's basketball right now is definitely at a strange crossroads, I would think.
It's the biggest loser by far when it comes to money on campus. When the Advocate puts out their thing every year where it shows who made what and what women's basketball loses, I think $4 million a year. And somebody told me they put out their schedule for next year, and one of the trips is a trip to one of these Bahamas islands or something. And the fans are now, they're under a microscope. They're looking for this stuff. So I like Nikki Fargas. She's always been very friendly. She's participated in our events and everything. But, people remember those 5 straight Final Fours and are kind of waiting for that to come back. I remember going to at least 2 games that were sold out, LSU and Tennessee back in the day. And they used to get pretty steady 6,000 to 10,000 paid over a stretch of time, and it hasn't been nearly that.
Well, the thing about LSU women's basketball is, you have to. I think the bar for them can be the same as the bar for the men's team, and that is make the NCAA tournament, right? I think LSU basketball fans, men's or women's, are smart enough to understand you're not going to be Connecticut. You're not going to be, every year in there in the Final Four. No, but every year you should be making the NCAA tournament. You've got good enough athletes. You've got good enough facilities. You're in a good enough conference. You've got the resources to go do that. And some years you'll pop and you'll maybe win, 3-4 games. But most years get into the tournament, usually at least win 1. And then anything after that's lagniappe, and now we're at a point where they're not even getting into the tournament.
This is not a sexist comment, Ronnie. It's just the truth. It is much easier to make the women's tournament than it is the men's tournament.
Yeah.
And you never see a 1 beat a 16 in the men's tournament 100-20 or something. You do see that in the women's game when a Baylor plays a team from the SWAC or something like that.
Right.
So, your halves, like you said, you got about 5 to 10 halves, and you got a lot of have-nots in that game. But I think the resources are there for LSU to be good in that sport.
Now, Will Wade is back. The question becomes, how long is he back? What will that back look like? Will the NCAA come knocking and poking around and all that? I got to believe they will. They do it for a lot less things than a potential audio tape with him talking about paying a potential, possibly playing a recruit. It's a weird time right now because as much as LSU fans want to be excited for Will Wade being back, there's also this apprehension of what's to come. They gave him a big standing ovation at the box a couple weeks, the weekend before last at a home game. He was there for a couple games, and they showed him on camera in a suite, and everybody went crazy. But I think there's still a little wait and see on this.
Well, he just sacrificed hundreds of thousands in bonus money, right? He gave that up. There was amendments made to his contract, and now he has a new boss in Scott Woodward. And I'm not saying Scott's a liar, but when he got up at his press conference and he told Matt Moscona, Matt, I think
you might know more than I do.
More about this than I do.
Right.
I want to say he's probably had a few phone calls. He probably has a little background info on what's going on with Will Wade.
Right.
So yeah, I think, I think LSU, I think Coach Wade perhaps was a little sloppy with, talking on the phone, and he was just really unlucky that an FBI wiretap.
Terribly unlucky.
I talked to somebody, I think it was Herb Vincent, said, well, there's not exactly a playbook for an FBI wiretap when it comes to public relations and what you say and how you handle it and all that. So yeah, it's really interesting to see. I really enjoyed covering this past team. Thank God they didn't lose to Yale in the first round of the tournament, because then you would have just said, man, what a terrible way. Won a couple of games, made it to the Sweet 16, got whipped by a superior team, in my opinion, and won the SEC, beat Kentucky at Kentucky, and I think that's kind of when the problem started. Calipari and those guys said, hey, these guys are too good, too quick, and maybe that kind of got the ball rolling on Will Wade.
On the Scott Woodward hire, back in the fall when LSU played at Texas A&M in that 7 overtime game, you actually interviewed Scott Woodward on the sidelines before the game. What was the genesis of the interview, and was it an interview that at the time you were looking forward to, this guy may be the AD one day?
I was joking with Scott that I'd been stalking him because in 2009, LSU played Washington season opener in Seattle.
That's right, and he was the AD there.
And they were like, local stories, that guy Scott Woodward, he's up, go talk to him. So I remember interviewing him down on the field. 2016, Thanksgiving night, when LSU played Texas A&M, we interviewed him. Ed Ogeron was not the head coach. He was the interim. That was the night that Tom Herman, It's Coming, blew up. And I interviewed Scott before the game. I said, Scott, you just hired Steve Sarkisian, Peterson at Boise. Oh, these things always work out. LSU will get a great guy, blah, blah, blah. And so, Ed Ogeron gets hired. And then last year before the game, it was, okay, Ed Ogeron's going head-to-head with your guy, Jimbo Fisher. How you think that's going to work out? So, yeah, I've talked to him a few times before games and everything. And
did you have a relationship with him at all when he was here at LSU? Did you know him?
No, my first year here was 2001, and not really. I didn't really know anything. Yeah. I knew that Emmerich was the big boss, so to speak, and Nick Saban was the coach. But certainly back then, those guys – made the biggest hire in the history of LSU athletics in Nick Saban, which changed everything on that campus in terms of a football program winning for years to come, facilities, Cox Communication Building for student athletes, and going into a golden era. So they changed a lot of the good old boy network, politics, and so maybe he'll do that again. But certainly when he was at his press conference the other day, he said, my good friend Dr. Such and Such is here. And that's good. Everyone needs to be working together. He's got friends, and that's really good. That's so... You never heard Joe Oliva say, "Oh, my buddy such and such is here." Or my buddy. So, it's just a whole different dynamic now with him.
You're an LSU fan as well as a guy who covers this team. You've been around this program. This is probably besides, I guess when LSU hired Skip Bertman, everybody felt like, okay, that's a good fit and it's an obvious choice. But even that probably didn't have 99%. Some people with the negative would have said, well, he's never been an AD
nobody cared
before.
about baseball, though, too, so it didn't have or did they? In 83, 84,
No, I'm talking about when they hired him as AD.
Oh, my bad.
Okay. But when he became the AD, you probably had some negative pushback, only from a standpoint of, well, he's never been an AD.
Right.
What does he know? Although, of course, he was a legendary coach, and we know that he knew business and how to get butts in the seats and raise money. And he did that at LSU forever. But it still wasn't 99.9%. This was 99.9% slam dunk hire, everybody on the same page, and it's pretty much his job until he wants to retire.
Yeah, I remember Emmerich maybe wanted that guy from Kentucky. Is it Barnhart or I can't even remember, but Emmerich maybe wanted somebody.
Mitch Barnhart?
Yeah, they went with Skip, and Skip would say, hey, I'm a coach, okay? I know coaches, all right? Joe, not a coach.
Right.
So I think a lot of the coaches there, they got along with Skip. No resume's perfect. I don't know if he could have kept Pat Henry from going to A&M or not. He left. I think Nick Saban was going pro no matter what. I think Skip did everything he could to stop Nick Saban from leaving. And he hired Les Miles, who won 80% of his games and kept things rolling, and things were fun for a long time there. He hired Smoke. That didn't work out. Maneri has done a really good job. So
Hired him.
Yeah. So I think Skip's resume is pretty strong there.
Yeah, I think the thing that Skip did so well during that era was, you're right, and I talked to Dee Dee Bro, and she's reiterated this, and even John Brady, to look retrospectively looking back, Skip was so good at coaching up coaches, helping them run their programs correctly, but also he was the guy that could sell the seat licensing deal. That's when TAF started putting those seat licensing tabs.
He said, I fell on the spear. The next AD doesn't have to do that. I did it.
Right. And a guy who played a big role in that was Scott Woodward behind the scenes, along with some of the heads of TAF. Scott Woodward was a person that was in those rooms there was like 4 of them that kind of came up with, this is how much it's going to be in the plan, and this is the money we're going to raise and what we're going to do with the money. So he was involved in the back room on that deal and helped execute that plan. So that's where the history kind of comes in with those two. And of course, Scott in his press conference referenced Skip, and I'm sure Skip, who had a good relationship with Joe, but not a super warm and fuzzy. I mean, Joe wasn't picking up the phone to call Skip for advice, but they got along. This may be where Scott Woodward actually picks up the phone and calls Skip for advice from time to time, or includes him a little bit, and that'll be good for Skip. I'm glad he deserves that.
Ronnie, I remember real quick. I remember a press conference Nick Saban did in the summer of 2002. It was like out of nowhere. Like Nick Saban's going to meet with the media. What's this about? So he took questions for a couple minutes, and then basically just launched into a diatribe about how anybody could put up a fight against this TAF thing that he wanted to introduce in terms of the charging of the tickets on the seats and whatever. That Florida had done this for years. Georgia, they had got a 30-40 year jump on LSU. We need to do this, and pretty much threw a tantrum, and sure enough, it was put into effect.
Before we let you go, and we're going to have Jacob Hester coming in here in just a minute, you did a story that is on WAFB.com on Nick Brossette before the draft. You guys spent some time in Tiger Stadium. He got very emotional, opened up about some things in his personal life. How did that come about, and what was your takeaway from that interview that maybe you didn't know before you sat down with him?
Well, I'd covered Nick at U-High. He was our Warwick Dunn Player of the Year, and always kind of had a good rapport with him and his mom, and kind of watched his career at LSU, and just his brother Mendel was like 12 or 13 when Nick was born, and basically raised Nick, the father of the home. Nick's biological father wasn't involved in his life. His mom has been battling cancer for years, and right before Nick started at LSU, Mendel, his brother, had a seizure, had a heart attack, and died in his sleep, which was a very traumatic thing, especially for a family that's lived poor, bounced around from house to house. And so Nick's first 3 years, literally nothing went right. He fumbled against South Carolina. He threw his helmet. Les Miles was on his butt. He finally got a chance he hurt his knee against Ole Miss, ripped up his ACL. Starts against Troy, fumbles on the first play of the game. The head coach after the game says, I don't want our third-string running back in on the first play of the game. That was rough. And finally, played this year and scored 14 touchdowns, ran for 1,000 yards, and just a real testament to hanging in there. Don't transfer, don't quit. Maybe something good will happen. And so, he went undrafted. He certainly didn't have the resume of a Leonard Fournette or Darius Geis, but he's a survivor. He's a fighter, and he signed on with the best organization in pro sports, the New England Patriots. So we'll see what happens.
So if you haven't seen that story, they can find it where?
WAFB.com. We have to take out some of the game footage and replace that with pictures because we can't put footage on the web. But
right.
You'll see all the emotional stuff with him.
All right, Jacques, thanks so much. We'll be talking more about Red Rock and Blue. Go to redrockandblue.com for more info on how you can get involved. All the money goes to great charities. And, of course, the celebrity event, look for that roster. It'll be coming out in the month of June, and hopefully you get win number 8 over Moscona.
I told Moscona if it was a 7-game series, we would have won a long time ago and been out of there. But
all right,
yeah,
thank you, Jacques. Appreciate the time.
Okay,
Jacques Doucet of WAFB. We'll be back with Jacob Hester right after this.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
When you come to Relief Windows, your experience starts here.
Or here.
Then we come to your home.
We measure twice.
And then we bring custom windows to your home.
We remove your old windows. Install your new windows.
Clean our mess. And we make sure you're completely satisfied.
And all of this before you pay a dime. And at Relief Windows, our #1 product is customer satisfaction.
Relief Windows.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
Can't get enough sports shorts? Tune into Sports Shorts TV on Cox HD Channel 1013 Mondays at 8, Tuesdays at 9, and ETEL Channel 4. That's 52 weeks a year to get educated on sports by the best. Joel Davis and Ronnie Rance.
The SEC not get drafted.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sports Shorts, presented by LeBair's Casino. We got Jacob Hester in the house with us, wearing his Auburn orange. And before we,
it's more UL red. I thought you'd appreciate it, actually.
Before we talk to Jacob, let's tell you about the next Monday. Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame golf tournament is coming up. It'll be Monday, May 6th at 10 a.m. at the Golden Nugget Casino in Lake Charles, presented by Relief Windows, the title sponsor of the event. Thanks to Brandon Holly. And if you want to be in it, still time all this week. You can go to lasportshall.com. That's lasportshall.com to register to play as a team or an individual golfer. Saw Eric Hill went back out to Zur. Saw Eric Hill this weekend, and he's going to play in the golf tournament for me. LSU Tiger linebacker. He had on the Tiger Woods red shirt, black pants, the Nike hat. He looked like if he had swallowed Tiger Woods, that's what Eric Hill looked like.
That's what I was trying to go for today. I had the victory red on. You thought it was orange, but you just didn't want to call yourself out.
Because Eric Hill looks like he could still play today.
Yeah, he does.
He is put together. But anyway, be a great event. Go to lasportshall.com. You can get tickets to come to the pairings party on Sunday night or play golf on Monday. Right now, Jacob Hester joins us, and big draft weekend. And before we talk about the draft, I just have to give, I think this is the 4th year that the NFL draft has been on location.
So I know for sure it's been in Chicago. It's been in Philly.
Was it in Philly?
No, it was in Philly.
Maybe
this year in
5.
Nashville.
Yeah.
But the scenes from Nashville looked outstanding. I believe they said there was over 600,000 throughout Thursday until Sunday night that rolled through there at some point. That's amazing. I'm glad the NFL's starting to do that too.
Right.
Because New York's cool. New York's the bright lights. It's the stage that everybody wants. But look, you see football fans in Nashville. I call it the football belt, right? Mm-hmm. SEC country. They love their football a little bit more than other people, and they showed out.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're the Titans, you got to be like, man, you might have won some fans over, right?
Yeah.
Some people that got juiced up for football, and now's the time to market to them. It was a great event. Everything they touch turns to gold. I mean, they've stretched this thing as much as they can stretch this thing. Maybe the 6th and 7th round will be on Sunday. Who knows? But We know that LSU, no surprise that Devin White went 5th overall to Tampa. If you're a Saints fan, you're crying in your milk because you look across the way, you see 3 Tiger greats playing defense.
Yeah. I mean, the Falcons, the Buccaneers, everybody just drafts the Saints guys. Or LSU guys,
LSU
not
guys
the Saints.
To go against the Greedy Williams fell to the 2nd round. He actually, and it had to be awkward, right? He actually was there in the tent, in the room on Monday with the suit, going down the red carpet, expecting to be a 1st-round draft pick, doesn't, and falls a little, went middle of the 2nd round.
Yeah, 46.
I mean, so he had to wait a little bit.
He did. And look, we've seen that before. I mean, we've seen guys, Aaron Rodgers had to wait, Brady Quinn had to wait. I mean, we've seen a bunch of guys be in the green room having to wait. But look, it is what it is. He's a guy that could have gone somewhere in the 20s and nobody would have been surprised. Am I surprised he fell that far? Absolutely. I talked to a guy from Pro Football Focus about the draft this morning on SEC radio. He's like, we had him 9th overall in our entire draft board. He was 9th. Like, don't give me this baloney about he's not willing to tackle. I've never met a corner in my life that was real interested in tackling. And I heard a former GM say, they're going to run toss crack his way first play of the game. Okay, that's great. Are they going to run toss crack 17 times in a game?
Right.
No, if they run it once and they get 7 yards, tip your cap to him because he's going to shut down your number 2 receiver because Ward, who they drafted 4th overall last year, is a stud as well. He's going to be on the 1. Greedy's going to be on the 2. So it's a good spot for Greedy. He's got 2 veteran kind of guys, LSU guys that can mentor him. Jarvis Landry is not going to get outworked by anybody. He can rub some of that off on Greedy as well. Not that Greedy didn't have it, but it's always good to have a vet there
that cares about you.
That cares about you, that has a vested interest in you because he wants all the LSU guys to do well. So I think it's a good spot for him.
Foster Moreau, we thought maybe on the highest end he could sneak into the back end of the 2nd round. You thought he was probably more like a 3rd rounder. He went in the 4th round to the Raiders. We've seen the social media video of John Gruden calling him, talking to him on the phone. First off, your thoughts on him going in the 4th and the fit over in Oakland?
He was that guy that we talked about. He could have gone the end of the 2nd round. He could have gone like he did in the 4th round. I think 5th round's about as far as he could have fallen. But he goes in the 4th round. He goes to a team that just lost a tight end in free agency, so it's a need for them. And look, Foster's going to make a squad. All he had to do was get drafted. He's going to work his butt off. You could tell Gruden knew exactly the kind of mental makeup that Foster had. I'm excited about what he's able to do. Because last year at LSU, we called him Mr. Fix-It because when the offensive line was going through all those injuries and they started 6 different lineups in 6 weeks, he was the guy that had to fix it all. He had to be a 6th guy on the line of scrimmage. He had to be an F in the backfield helping in pass protection and 7-man protections. And so he wasn't really able to do what he's really capable of doing. I mean, he goes out there at 6'4" and runs a 4.6. He has a great vertical jump. He has a bench press number of 22, I believe. And so he can do everything physically that you ask him to do. It's just LSU needed him to do something else.
He'll be an Oakland Raider at least for 1 more year, but then it won't be bad to live in Las Vegas. That'll be pretty cool for him and his family. He'll have every Jesuit High classmate, everybody who hung out with him in Tigerland, like, hey, Foster, what's up? Hey, can you get me a room at the MGM? And then I'm going to come watch you play in 2 tickets. You know,
Gordy Rush, Jesuit alum, as well. He's going to be like, I got this conference out in Vegas. I got to go see Foster as well while I'm out there.
It's going to be very interesting. Happy for him. Now, if you're an LSU fan, once you got to the 4th round, that was it. There was nobody. I mean, Tracy was a guy.
Yeah.
Brosette. Are you surprised? Who did you think would have gotten drafted by the LSU guys who went undrafted?
I thought there would be 2, maybe 3. I thought Cole Tracy would get drafted. And I realized some people say, well, he tops out at 53 yards. Yeah, well, but inside of that 53 yards, he's almost automatic. I mean, he's shown that. And look, he's still going to have a great opportunity. He's already got 2 kind of minicamp things lined up with the Packers and Saints. Nick Brossette's a guy that I thought in the later rounds would get drafted. Look, anytime you run for 1,000 yards in the SEC, that means something. I don't care if it's a down league. I don't care if it's a year where the defenses aren't as good. You run for 1,000 in the SEC, it should mean something. Elijah Holyfield from Georgia as well. Like, he's a 1,000-yard guy in the SEC.
I thought for sure
he doesn't get drafted. So that's 2,000-yard SEC guys. That just doesn't happen ever. So I'm surprised somebody didn't take a flyer on a Nick Brossette late, 6th, maybe 7th round. John Battle is a guy as well. Now, look, I know John Battle may not be the fastest defensive back. We all know he ran a 4.7, but he started 3 years at LSU, which calls himself DBU for a reason. So I'm surprised somebody didn't take a late flyer on him as well. And the thing when you get to the late part of the draft, I think GMs have this mindset that they're going to go for a smaller school guy. You know, we saw a guy from Sioux Falls get drafted in the 3rd round. I have no idea what level Sioux Falls plays on. It was the Chargers that took him, so I'm sitting here looking it up. I mean, some GMs like to overthink it. They like to get, I'm going to get this guy like from Dartmouth or wherever that might be, you know, and say, well, that's a steal of the draft. I found this crown jewel of the draft. Sometimes they overthink it a little bit. No, just instead of taking the guy from Sioux Falls or Dartmouth, go take the guy in the SEC that ran for 1,000 yards, or go get the guy who started at LSU for 3 years. Sometimes I think GMs overthink it just a little bit at the back end of a draft. But look, once you get there, even if you're an undrafted free agent rookie, if you make 2 or 3 plays, you'll make the team. I can't tell you how many times, Ronnie, I've been in NFL mini camps, training camps, an undrafted free agent rookie makes 1 run or 1 catch or 1 sack against the first team.
And they just remember that the whole time.
And they remember it, and I can point to 3 or 4 different plays that say that guy just made the team. C.J. Anderson was an undrafted free agent rookie from Cal when I was in Denver. They Monty Ball. They drafted Monty Ball in the 2nd round that year.
Wisconsin running back.
C.J. Anderson makes a run. It was against the 2nd or 3rd team. I don't even remember. He makes a run where it was like Marshawn Lynch against the Saints in the playoffs that year, right? I mean, he breaks 9 tackles, finds a way, hits like an 80-yarder, and everybody's like, well, he just made the team. Every time you see that, you can say, well, he just made the team. So you have your opportunities. It's once you get there, it's what do you do with that opportunity. So even if these guys don't get drafted, Nick's going to New England, John Bell's going to New York, Bruiser's going to Pittsburgh, they're going to have a chance to make the team. Now it's about what do you do with that opportunity.
Cole Tracy, you mentioned, going to try out with the Saints and the Chargers. And look, we know the Saints have their kicker. I mean, so it's not like he has a chance to make the team. But also what we see in spring training, in training camp, is that they usually don't, if you've got a locked-up kicker, they let the backup do the kicking. That way there's no chance of an injury, and it's an opportunity for the team to evaluate them for the future in case the guy gets hurt or doesn't do well. Because you see people get rid of kickers and bring them in kickers in the middle of the season all the time. But it's an opportunity for Cole to audition. Remember, about 4 years ago, the Saints had 2 kickers in camp. They both kicked pretty well. They cut them both and went and brought in a different guy, at the first week of the season. So regardless of where he goes to camp, he's going to get a chance to earn his spot. And
the kickers and punters know that. Like when I was in San Diego, we had 2 Pro Bowl guys, Nate Kading and Mike Cyphers was a guy who's from Destrehan actually as the punter. They're Pro Bowl guys, and so you bring a kicker and a punter in. They know they're not going to make the team. They talk about it openly. I mean, with coaches and stuff, it's all about this is an audition. This is an audition to go to that team that has a guy shank 3 out of the first field goals he takes in either fall camp or in the first week of the season. They know that it's like a trademark, and you're going to get cut. Guys are going to get signed, and so kickers, they know that they're basically on a 1-week contract everywhere they go.
Out of the LSU non-drafted players that you just mentioned and where they're headed, if you had to, you can only pick one. Which one makes the team, in your opinion?
Oh, that's going to be tough. Look, Nick's obviously in an uphill battle because of Michelle in New England. They draft Damian Harris out of Alabama in the 3rd round at the running back position as well. John Battle's interesting to me. He's got a Jamal Adams who he's played with before at LSU. Obviously, he'll be able to help him out and learn the ropes of the defense. Also, John Battle's probably going to play a lot of special teams. So out of those guys, I can see him making the team, the original team, right, that he signed with.
Not practice squad, the 53.
Right, and Cole Tracy will have a chance. I don't know about Bruiser. He's been banged up a lot.
Been hurt a lot.
He's had some injuries in his career, so we'll see. And it's always tough with offensive linemen, how that plays out. But Nick, he's got some guys in front of him that have been drafted in the last 2 years, so that's going to be an uphill battle with New England itself. I'm not saying he can't stick with another team. So I think John Battle out of that crop.
Jacob Hester here joining us on Sports Shorts TV. Just a few more minutes left here. Sports Shorts, of course, presented by LaBerge Casino. The last couple of weeks at LSU have been crazy in the world of sports. But I just want to get your reaction and your take on what's going down with the Scott Woodward deal. We probably would still be talking about Joe Oliva being let go or resigning if Scott Woodward hadn't been hired, we anticipated that. We anticipated there'd be a search. It'd take a while. We find out in a month or so, who their guy is. One guy's out, one guy's in. It's as if it never even happened. And nobody's even talking about Joe Oliva and looking back and reflecting on his years and what we can do better. It's all just support for Scott Woodward. Now, I do know that you're a little bit bitter. You didn't get a shout out from Scott Woodward at the press conference. Seems like everybody else did, including Matt Flynn. Got some love, and Matt Mauck and other guys. A lot of other people, Brian Jeremy, etc. But that aside,
Yeah.
your reaction to what's going on?
First off, I'm glad Matt Mock got a shout out for the OG number 18. I'm a little upset
And Warren
that
Rabb got one.
Warren
Yeah.
Rabb got one. I'm a little upset Flynn got one. I mean, that's how much did he pay? What was that handshake like? No, but I'm excited about it. I mean, how can you not be? I mean, look, when everybody kind of started to hear that Joe was going to step down, move into a new role, whatever that case might have been, everybody's like, is there a chance you think we can get Scott Woodward? Is that a real possibility? And you kind of heard the whispers, right? And look, let's be honest. I mean, we heard his name attached to LSU for a very long time if a move was ever made. And then for it to happen so quickly after, because obviously it had been in the works. It had been in the works for a couple of weeks behind the scenes. And when you hear that he's actually going to be the athletic director, I think it's exciting news. I mean, look, he's had a big past of being able to hire a coach that nobody thought could be hired away from his school. And a lot of people point to Jimbo Fisher. The more impressive one is Peterson from Boise State.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed like a lifer at Boise State. He's able to hire him away to Washington when he's at Washington. And so he does really good things. And I think he understands Louisiana politics, which is gigantic. I mean, you know that.
They grew up on that side, yeah.
That's huge in the state of Louisiana. I think fundraising as well. I mean, that's something he has a very big background in, something that LSU needs a boost
sell
in.
tables, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you might need to go sit down in a
Right, I
class
gotta
with
learn
him. I
from
mean,
him.
you need to go get in Scott's ear. But no, I mean, look, LSU needs a little bump in fundraising right now. I mean, it's no secret, right? So they've got goals. They haven't met their goals. They want to meet their goals, and he's shown in the past that he can do that. So I think not only from athletics, but fundraising and just kind of how everything works when you're the state university. And he said it, and I've said it many a times. You're the state university in Louisiana. Now, I know other states like Mississippi State have that title as well, but they have Ole Miss, right? Florida State has Florida. I mean, you could point to all these. I mean, Texas has Texas A&M. Alabama has Auburn. I mean, you're the standalone. You are the big daddy in the state. And he understands that. He understands how much rolls through LSU, and you're in the state capital city of Baton Rouge, obviously. And so a lot plays into that, but I think every LSU fan should be excited. He's a name that a lot of people that I trust say, hey, this is a home run deal.
You can check out Hanging with Hester, of course, Monday through Friday from 1 until 3 p.m. and on ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge. And, of course, you can check him out on Sirius X on the SEC network. On Sirius, you're on there all the time, huh?
Yeah, it was early morning this morning. So only 3 days this week, though, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Thank goodness.
All right. Well, thank you, Hester. Appreciate it very much. Also want to remind you, just a couple seconds left, if you're a golfer, a gambler, or a supporter of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, go to lasportshall.com. We got our annual golf classic next Monday, May the 6th, from at 10 a.m. at the Golden Nugget in Lake Charles. Also, pairings party the night before with a lot of great guests. Todd Walker will be there, Charles Alexander, Dalton Hilliard, many, many more. That's lasportshall.com. You've been watching Sports Shorts presented by LeBears.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
When you come to Relief Windows, your experience starts here.
Or here.
Then we come to your home.
We measure twice.
And then we bring custom windows to your home.
We remove your old windows. Install your new windows.
Clean our mess. And we make sure you're completely satisfied.
And all of this before you pay a dime. And that Relief Windows, our #1 product is customer satisfaction.
Relief Windows.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call AccuTemp and schedule your maintenance check today.